Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today I'll be walking you through my Camino de Santiago, pun fully intended. This video is an advanced C1, C2 English listening task. Please check the video description for the worksheets and don't forget to subscribe. I moved to Spain almost 4 years ago, and every year I had been telling myself that I'd eventually get around to doing the Camino de Santiago. In June 2025, I finally achieved this goal. I spent months organising it and trying to recruit friends of all of my different circles to come with me, but the dates weren't aligning with anyone else's plans, so I accepted the fact that I would be doing it alone. I chose the Portuguese Coastal Way. Technically it starts in Porto, but as it was my first Camino, and honestly I really wasn't a big hiker, I chose to start a bit closer to the finish line. My journey began in Caminha, right near the border between Portugal and Spain. In total, I hiked for 8 days and covered 174 kilometers. I stayed in both private and public albergues to try them both out. Aside from having to dry my clothes like this, the occasional wriggly bunkmate, and loud old man snoring, I had reasonably good experiences in both. Anyway, these things are to be expected in large shared dorms and budget travelling. Some days I walked alone, some days I chatted with other hikers for hours on end. I had a few surface level conversations with strangers, but more often than not, it was pretty easy to get into deep topics with people. I discussed things with strangers that I never imagined I would get into on a random hike in the north of Spain. Most days I had a bit of social time and a bit of solo hiking time. For the first 2 days, I still had that restlessness to sort of pass the time by listening to podcasts or music. But by about day 3, I really started to settle down and get into the groove of the Camino. During the first 2 days, I had a lot of people ask me if it was my first Camino. I was so puzzled at why so many people were repeating this giant hike more than once. I didn't really get it at first. But on day 3, I started getting the feeling that this was only the beginning for me too. I was already starting to feel the clarity and peace that everyone kept going on about. And by day 4, I was already looking at other routes I could take on other holidays throughout the year. Each day, just as I was fascinated with the people I met and the conversations I had, I was equally impressed by the gorgeous flora and fauna of the region Galicia. Seeing the farm animals reminded me of where I grew up, and the colours of some of the flowers were unreal. Every day, the path looked a little different, but I kept passing through quaint little towns with various animals and plants, and it was just lovely. Some of the tiny neighbourhoods I passed through had the most epic flower collections. This was my favourite one. The lady in charge of it was standing outside watering her flowers, and she was deservingly very proud of her display. Most of the locals in Galicia were really friendly and almost always gave a nod, said good morning, and some even played music. Depending on what time you go during the year, the small towns sometimes have local festivities. In Redondela, for example, they had a huge celebration and the best seats in the house were from the public albergue right above the main square. Along the way, there are multiple places to stop and get a snack or drink and a stamp. Also, I am truly horrible with directions, but the path is extremely well marked. Some days the path is more secluded and you have to be more strategic about bathroom breaks and food, but in general, people are pretty helpful and accommodating to hikers. Overall, this was one of the most rewarding experiences of my life. It was so inspiring to see how many solo female travellers were on this hike, and in general, listening to people's stories or their Camino why was super interesting and eye-opening. Sharing fleeting moments and profound conversations with strangers really helped me to rethink some of my relationships and reflect on the transience of some friendships. Although I planned this adventure months in advance, it fell at an extremely tense time of my life where I was desperately seeking guidance and needing to take my mind off things. Each day, the repetitive action of walking, persevering, and quite literally carrying my baggage was ultimately a very satisfying experience. Even though it sometimes felt like my joints and bones were on fire, I stuck to it and I got through it. When I finally arrived at the cathedral in Santiago de Compostela, I knew that I had reached my goal with nothing left in the tank. I gave it my all, and it was totally worth it. To finish up with a bang, the day I arrived was the beginning of the Fiestas de San Juan. In the afternoon, I soaked up the live music. At night, I joined the festivities of jumping over the fire and practiced letting go by writing something down on paper and casting it into the flames. And this was how I finished up my Camino de Santiago. Hey everyone, I hope you enjoyed the video. As always, the worksheets are in the description below. See you next time.